In this video, we will show you how to replace your Bank 1 Sensor 1 O2 sensor on this Toyota Sienna. This will be located behind your engine. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. You're going to have to make your way under the vehicle. Just behind the engine compartment, you're going to find a plastic shield that we're going to be removing so we can gain access to that O2 sensor. In the center of the plastic shield, there should be a small push clip that will be pressed right up through this port into the subframe. Ours is missing. For that, typically you can just pry it out with a small prying device or even a trim tool. Other than that, you're going to have 4 10mm headed mounting bolts, one on each corner of the shield. We'll start removing each of them. Make sure you're holding onto the shield while you continue. Remove your shield. With the shield out of the way, you can reach right up along the passenger side of your rear catalytic converter and manifold assembly, and that's where you're going to find your Bank 1 Sensor 1 O2 sensor, mounted just behind the engine, straight up and down, going into the manifold. Before we start removing the O2 sensor from the manifold, you want to go ahead and follow that wiring harness. You can see it goes up and over the manifold towards the driver's side of the engine. We need to disconnect the electrical connector and separate it from its mounting point. After that, we'll make our way back here to remove that O2 sensor. Let's follow that electrical connector over to the other side here. We can see the electrical connector for our O2 sensor and the connector portion that's for the wiring harness. The wiring harness portion will have a locking tab that you need to depress so you can pull this out of place. If you can't depress it, use a small pocket screwdriver up inside this groove. Come right up in here. I'm going to grab that locking tab, gently pry. We should be able to pull this apart. Once you have it dislodged, you need to inspect both sides. If you see any corrosion, that needs to be dealt with. Now let's dislodge the wiring harness from its 2 mounting points. You can see one right here on the driver's side. Just pull it right up and out of place. Make our way directly above that exhaust pipe. Once again, pulling the wire up and out of place. Now we can start removing the O2 sensor using an O2 sensor socket. There it is, friend. With the O2 sensor out of there, we'll use a piece of fine sandpaper, clean our mounting point right up along the top of the manifold there. A quick inspection, and now we can prepare to install our brand new O2 sensor. For this O2 sensor, you want to make sure you start it in by hand so we do not cross-thread it into the wrong position. As we're installing this, we're being careful not to cause any damage to our wiring harness. This is extremely important. Now we'll snug this up, and then I'm going to torque this to 30 foot-pounds. If you have a hard time getting a torque wrench in here, just make sure it's nice and tight. There we are. Now it's time for that wiring harness. We're just going to bring it up and over the exhaust pipe. We'll make our way towards the driver's side of this so we can reconnect the electrical connector and then secure the wiring harness. Come up and over this area. You can see that connector coming over on the driver's side now. The next thing we need to do is pay attention on that electrical connector. On your new O2 sensor, you're going to find a small tab. That's where the lock for the wiring harness connector is going to lock in. We'll make sure everything's aligned and press it together. Typically that upper connector would be held in place. This is going to be a little bit easier if it's still attached. Ours is broken and separated. Let's try to press that together, listen for a click. I got a nice audible click from that. We'll give it a tug to make sure it's secure. Now, if your O2 sensor wiring harness did remove from the mounting bracket here, it's a good idea to have that secured in some way, but you definitely at least want to make sure that the wiring harness is secured. So we'll bring this down and through the mounting bracket. We had that first one close to where the connector is. Let's make our way up and over the exhaust for our second mounting point. Let's press that right down in there. Once you do have it in place, you just want to make sure that it's not hanging down in any way where it could get caught on something and get damaged. This looks fine. We can make our way out of here and reinstall our shield. We want to make sure that the front of it slides into the plastic clips along the bottom of the subframe. That one, the same on the other side. Now we can start installing our mounting bolts. Along the backside, you're going to have the fine threaded mounting bolts. Same thing on the other side there, fine threaded bolt. Now as for the front, we have our coarse threaded mounting bolts. These are going into plastic clips. In the center here, there should be a plastic push clip. Go ahead and install that. After that, tighten up all of the mounting hardware. Okay friend, we finished the installation of our Bank 1 Sensor 102 sensor. At this point, safely make your way out from under the vehicle. Start it up, let your vehicle run for a little while, make sure you have no misfire, no running condition, no check engine light, and take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.